welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. I'm your host, Javon Harrington, and tonight I offer you something very special. Now, I told you what tomorrow's video was going to be, but I didn't say when you were going to get the Season 2 finale of What If Shirogane Was Spider-Man. And after mulling it over for a bit, after doing some thinking, I've decided that you're going to be getting the Season 2 finale and the conclusion of the first story of Phase 2 of Anime X Marvel tonight. Now, first and foremost, I want to say thank you to everyone who has been following this series from the very beginning. Now, going all the way back to January, when I scrapped the original Phase 2 idea that was going to be the Defender Saga, simply because it wasn't resonating the way that I wanted it to, and I wanted to make a pivot, but then there were setbacks, had to take a break or two, some things changed, other projects came up. You guys stuck around through a lot, and the one thing I promised myself after the last setback was that I wasn't going to let up. I was going to give this thing my all. I was going to do my best, and so far I'm sticking to it. I've even added on a little more work, but I really want to, really drive this thing home. Now, a lot of you are aware there is more to the story of Kaguya-Sama Love is War, and depending on how you guys enjoy the first 2 seasons of this story, maybe we'll bring it back in the future for Season 3 and for the Kaguya-Sama movie. But, that's in the future, Who knows when we'll get to that. But for now, we're going to be continuing on with this story as we go into the Season 2 finale. This one's going to be a little bit longer, not really going to be too much dialogue, and this is mainly going to be how this story ends for now. But again, we do have the options of coming back in the future. So again, thank you to everyone who has been a part of this journey. I thank you all for coming along with the story of What If Miyuki Shirogane Was Spider-Man from the PlayStation video game series. And I hope you'll stick along with everything else that we have on the channel that's come out now and in the future. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into today's video. So, as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. The Shushin Academy Sports Festival was finally getting underway. Dr. Otto Octavius, who had been imprisoned about 2 weeks ago by Spider-Man, broke out in time as he was going to be the overseer of the event. He may have been a super criminal outside of work, but he was still a caring and loving teacher, and he wasn't going to leave his students in the wing. It was something that Shirogane actually respected about his teacher, even though everyone knew he was the supervillain and it wasn't something they were allowed to talk about while on school premise. The students had a weird admiration for him. Even though he continued on in his criminal path, he still took his job as an teacher and administrator seriously. It was something to be admired. Of course, there was Ishigami, who was overcoming his own difficulties as he started becoming more outgoing with the cheerleading club that he was a part of, and because of a certain upperclassman girl named Tsubami, who had definitely caught the young boy's attention. But for Shirogane, when he saw all the students who were having fun, who were participating, it filled him with a great sense of pride. This was what he was fighting for. Of course, it caused him to reflect a little bit. He kind of wished that there was someone who could see all of his hard work. His mother. It wasn't easy on Shirogane when his mother left him and his father and took his younger sister away from him when he was young. Of course, when she broke the family the way that she did, it was a shell shock to everyone, Shirogane especially. There were many nights he laid up wondering, had he done something wrong? Had he done something to incur his mother's wrath? Despite the encouraging words of his father, nothing could ever really make up for what had happened to him. Was he not good enough? Was he ever good enough? And then, of course, there was that fateful field trip. The field trip to the Tokyo Science Museum, where by chance he was bitten by a radioactive spider and gained the powers that he did. Of course, for Shirogane, he thought about using his powers for his own fame and fortune, for his own conquest. He'd be lying if he said the thought of becoming a criminal hadn't crossed his mind. After all, it was just about getting the funds that they needed, just to get his family back on track. But then he remembered the words of his father who would implore him not to give up, who always encouraged his son to stick to the right path, to always do the right thing. That's what it meant to be a man, to always stand in the face of adversity, to always protect those that were close to you. And then there was the mantra of Shushin Academy, that with great power must also come great responsibility. Shirogane recognized that with his power, he had even more of a reason to do the right thing. It's why he took the cowl of the Spider-Man. Even if no one knew, whether society deemed him a hero or a menace, he would always do what was right, because it was simply the right thing to do. Next to him during the festivities was Kaguya, a girl born into luxury, into wealth and fame, and everything that came with it. But even still, she viewed these things as nothing more but a curse, a noose that was wrapped around her, never letting her be free. Of course, Kaguya was not always like this. There was a point in time where Kaguya was fully prepared to accept the role that came with the Shinomiya family, the good and the bad. But when she met the president, it wasn't just her admiration for him or her love. It was just seeing the wonder in those death-glaring-like eyes that always seemed tired. Here she saw a young man that didn't come from the same means as any of the students here. A young man who pushed himself beyond his own means. Just doing what he had done to get into the school would already gain enough respect. But he did more. He didn't just stand atop of them in terms of academics, but in the way that he carried himself. He was the model student that many would have to follow, and Kaguya found herself following after. Of course, when it came to love, that was the one thing, and the one thing she would never submit to. Even she, as a Shinomiya, had her pride. But still, that love and admiration that she had, it was something that she would always hold. It's why she continued in the criminal path that she did. Whatever it would take to buy her freedom from her family, for her right to choose, to be at least an option to the one that she loved. Was there the possibility that he could turn her down? Of course. And then she would be left without a lover and without the backing of her family fortune or name. But in the end, she would have the freedom to love, to be loved, and the freedom to feel the hurt that came with that love. Yes, love was definitely in the air for everyone here. But of course for Kaguya, things, as dark as they may have seemed, were only starting to become more bleak. It happened on a particular night as she and her assistant Ai Yasuka would be called for a meeting with the notorious criminal Hammerhead. "You called for us?" Kaguya would ask. I did. I have to say you've been doing fine work. You've definitely been adding to the organization, the both of you. However, I still think that we're being stagnated. And that's why I've decided to enact a little plan from the ones of old. From the ones of old. Are you familiar with the story of the Trojan horse? I am. A device created by the Greeks that led to the fall of Troy. Precisely. I believe if a similar tactic is applied, we can get rid of our spider problem once and for all. And just how exactly do you plan on doing that? Kaguya would ask. Simple. You're going to say that you turned over a new leaf. You're going to agree to betray me and my organization. And you're going to lead the Spider-Man and the White Tiger to a specific area that I'll have laid out for you. Once you do, you'll make sure to get out of the way, and I have some men ready to take them out. From inside of the room, 6 figures would appear. Dr. Otto Octavius, aka Dr. Octopus, the Vulture, Electro, Shocker, Rhino, and last, but certainly not least, the Scorpion. These are all associates you've met before, some I presume. Yes, I have. Kaguya was thankful that she was still in her black cat disguise, along with Yasuka. That way they wouldn't be recognized. Ah yes, we've worked with the black cat before, the Vulture would say. We don't hold any fault against you. You paid us well and we didn't get the job done. Shocker would slam his fist on the table. But I know that the 6 of us together, we can destroy them both. You see, Black Cat, there's a market for the heads of heroes, as much as there is to bring in villains. At least, as they claim us to be. I think of us more along the lines of professionals in our craft. But the point still stands. You are going to lure the White Tiger, as well as Spider-Man, into a trap. And then from there, with your skills, along with your associate, and with our forces combined, we're going to make sure that the heroes of Japan are brought down once and for all. And no need to worry, the compensation will do you well. Hammerhead would show them how much it was going to be for their help in the attack. Kaguya almost wanted to faint. With this amount of money, for a job like this, it could definitely buy her her freedom. How long do we have to make a decision? Don't keep me waiting. Of course, though, as Kaguya would go back home, she had a lot of contemplating on her mind. Yasuka, can we actually do this? Milady, I thought that this would actually be a benefit to you. Getting rid of the Spider-Man. We're talking about murder. Yes, but he is the enemy. But that doesn't mean I want to kill him. Then what? Do you want to save him? No. Yes, I mean, there has to be... My lady, I hardly doubt you'll be the one to deal the killing blow. You're only assisting in his demise. What happens after that is on him. We're just being paid to lure them into the trap. I get that, but... I would rest her hand on her charge's shoulder. Whatever you decide to do, I am bound and I will stick with you. If you do not wish to betray the Spider-Man, then we will not. If you wish to do so, then I will stand by your decision as well. Kaguya wasn't sure of what to do. She kept thinking about that night. That night he had her dead to rights. He could have turned her in, taken her to jail, ended all of this. He spared her because she had done an act of kindness. And how had she repaid that? If she could even say she repaid it at all. She didn't want to be in his debt, the debt of her family, the debt of anyone. And yet, she found herself in this dilemma. Could she really do it? Could she really betray him? Kaguya wasn't sure what to do. She lied in bed all night, looking through her flip phone, until finally, she came across the phone number of the president. She wasn't expecting him to pick up, but to her surprise, he did. Kaguya? What's up? President, I didn't think you'd... Yeah, I'm usually up pretty late. Always at work, it seems. Yeah, you called me for something. Is everything alright? I just have a bit of a dilemma. I see. You want to talk about it? Well, I know someone who has a very tough decision to make. Okay, and what's it about? For privacy reasons, I can't elaborate much further. All I can say is, she has an opportunity to do something that could give her a better life, the life she's always wanted, but to do so, she'd have to betray someone. I see. Betrayal is often a tricky subject. It's never something to be taken lightly. I understand that completely, I do. But still, it's just... I just... What's the matter, Kaguya? But still, it just doesn't feel right. I mean, this person, they're not friends. They don't even like each other. Would it really be wrong to give someone up that you don't like? I see. So, in order for your friend to get ahead, she would have to betray her enemy, someone she doesn't care for. Well, I guess logic would dictate that there's nothing really wrong with it. We do live in a competitive world where everyone wants to get ahead of each other. So in the end, I guess it would make all the sense. But I guess the real question is, could your friend live with that on her conscience? If the answer is yes, then, I wouldn't recommend it, but in the end, we all have to do what we have to do. We all have individual lives we have to live, Kaguya. No one can make the choices for us. We have to decide for ourselves whether to do what's right or to do what's wrong. It's stuff like that that keeps us grounded, really. What would you do? Well, if I had the choice, I'd hate to have to be in that situation, but if it came down to it, I could never sacrifice anyone for my own gain. It's just not who I am. And trust me, I've had plenty of times when I wanted to. It's so easy, to think of yourself and what you want, to just do what's in your own best interest. But if I do that, then I'm no better than the people I come across. The people who would do and act and fend for themselves without any thought of the other person. But even given your circumstances, it would be understandable. I mean, if anyone's deserved the right to be selfish, it's you. You don't deserve to be selfish, Kaguya. It doesn't matter how much you've gone through in your life. It doesn't give you the right to be selfish. Being selfish is a choice. And if you use your own circumstances as a cop-out, then in the end, it's just an excuse. You get what I'm saying? Kaguya would agree, as the two would hang up on their phone call. Kaguya had a lot to think about. much to decide that night. Around a week later, as Shirogane was going out on patrol, he was swinging through the city, not really paying much mind or attention to anything. It was a lazy night, to say the least. He hadn't run into the White Tiger. It was actually because Ava Ayala, the White Tiger herself, had actually caught the cold. As such, she wasn't going to be in much shape of going out for the night, but the crime had been low recently, and she figured she could go one day without seeing the Spider-Man, although there was something in her gut, a feeling. Should she have been out tonight? All the same, though, as Shirogane found himself sitting on one particular roof, overlooking the city as he enjoyed a cup of coffee and a donut, he would be approached by the Silver Cat and the Black Cat, respectively. He stood on guard as the two were standing behind him, but they would calm his nerves, with Kaguya having something she wanted to say to him. The three would now be walking underground, deep under the heart of Tokyo. They were taking an underground passageway that led to some old subway tunnels. Are you guys sure about this? After all, for everything we've been through, you have nothing to worry about, Spider-Man. Nothing at all. Everything is going to be fine, said the Silver Cat. Of course, the Black Cat would have said nothing. And, well, Spider-Man was a bit curious by this. What's the matter, Cat? Something got your tongue or something like that? I just prefer to walk in silence, that's all. No reason to talk or elaborate much further. I've told you what you need to know, and now there's nothing left for us to do except act. I get that, but it's the fact that you expect me to act on good faith. If you don't trust me, you're free to leave. I know you're stronger than even the both of us combined. If you wanted to take us down, then I know that you could. Well, I'm glad that you, recognize my abilities. But still, though, if this is a chance for you to turn over to a new side, I'm not turning over anything. I just want to be done with this once and for all. After tonight, you and I will never see each other again. Very well. The trio would continue in silence as they moved deeper, before finally reaching an opening, a place where the subway carts would be stored underground. It was a large, open, wide facility, to say the least, with multiple exit gates that would be blocked off by cage-like doors. As they made their way into the open area, there were 7 different doors in the large circular hall underground, each one from a different direction. Alright, so which way to... Immediately, as he stepped into a puddle of water, he would be shocked instantly. Even with his spider sense having alerted him at the last moment, it was just enough to sting him a bit, as Kaguya and I would find one of the doors that were open and close it behind them. They stood and watched as the other cell doors would open one by one. Should have seen that coming. Yes, Spider, you should have. One door would open as Dr. Otto Octavius would emerge. Hey, Doc. I see they let you out with good behavior. Oh, don't worry. My sentence was excommunicated. Unfortunately, you are going to be sentenced to something a bit more permanent. Electro would then be the next to charge, followed by the Shocker. Oh, what? A 3-way dance? He would be hit by the tail of the Scorpion. I don't think so, pal. Oh, great. You What else is... A metal blade would be lunged into his shoulder as the vulture came lunging towards him, the rhino bellowing out last. And it finally dawned on him what had happened. I see. So this was your plan, huh? He said as he looked towards the door where the two cats were watching from a distance. So, I guess you all want your pound of flesh, huh? Spider-Man would pull the blade out of his shoulder, rotating it around as he cracked his neck and readied himself. Alright, you guys want to do this? Let's do this then. Immediately, the fight would begin. Despite his power, and even fighting using the enclosed area, he could only move but so far. The ceiling, even underground, was no more than 20 feet, the vulture patrolling from above, while he would be thrashed around by everyone else on the ground. The beating was thorough and severe. He wasn't able to last for too long. Kaguya had to avert her eyes, watching what happened. Before long, Spider-Man found himself on the ground, surrounded by the six. Dr. Octopus would bind all of his arms, Electro shocking him, and the Shocker using his vibrant soundwave shock gloves to do damage to his body. Come on, is that the best you got? He tried to spin one more web, but Dr. Octopus would use one of his mechanical limbs to crush his wrist. You spun your last web, Spider-Man. And now, it's over. With a punch to the face, he would be knocked out cold, the villains tying him up as they all made their way to the meeting location. The location where Hammerhead would be waiting. He was tied up using barbed wire as they laid him on a pull-out couch in a hotel room in Tokyo, high in the sky. Of course, the accommodations to get 5 of the individuals inside were easy enough. Rhino had to be brought in through a different entrance. The 2 cats would sit as well, as Hammerhead and his men would be drinking and having a toast. You're all going to be very wealthy tonight. It's a shame that we couldn't have gotten a white tiger, but our sources indicate that between the 2 of them, she's not really all that dangerous. The next time she shows her face, we'll make sure to give her another welcome. As always, thank you to our 2 lovely assistants here tonight. Black Cat and Silver Cat. The 2 hardly paid him any mind. They simply took the money that they were owed and be prepared to leave. Oh, what? You're not gonna stay for the festivities? With all due respect, this is your area of expertise. I'm just here for the money. No problem. There's no reason for ladies such as yourself to see unwholesome things. You all get home safely. The 2 would leave, as now Hammerhead and the men were left now with the body of Spider-Man. You've been causing me a lot of trouble, Webhead. For so long. I have had my eye on Tokyo, but you were the pain in my side. They didn't notice, though, that on his foot, it was normally red, but there was a little piece of black goo. Maybe he had stepped in some oil or something like that, or some mud, or whatever. It didn't make a difference. A toast to freedom and to a new age. A world without Spider-Man. I gotta say, I'm gonna miss the runarounds, kid. The lights would slowly begin to flicker on and off. At first, they thought that maybe it was a power outage or something like that. Hammerhead would continue to speak, but the lights would flicker on and off once again. Okay. I spent a pretty penny on this room. Didn't think they'd be having a power outage. Is something wrong? Storm clouds outside. It's probably gonna be really bad. Oh, no matter. This place should run on a generator. There would be a crash of thunder and the lights would flicker off. It would last for a bit longer before they would cut back on again. In the midst of the lights flickering on and off, they didn't notice that Spider-Man's suit was starting to turn more and more black. The lights flickered on and off again, but as they looked back to where Spider-Man was, he was still there, but he was different. The Shocker would be the most surprised. Hey, I thought his suit was blue and red. Why the hell is it all black? Some type of camouflage thing? Wait, let me take notice. Dr. Otto Octavius would use his mechanical limbs, slowly reaching towards where the mask was. It was enough playing around. It was time to see who was under the mask. The lights turned on and off again. There was the sound of wires breaking, and then the sound of metal being crushed. And when they turned back on, Spider-Man was standing as he crushed and destroyed the mechanical arm of Dr. Octopus. He's awake! Get him! They all lunged towards Spider-Man. The lights turned off again, and when they turned back on, he was gone. The lights turned off once more and there would be a cry in the room. These were grown men, and this cry, it sounded like something out of a horror movie. They looked back and they saw that the Shocker was webbed up to the ceiling with writing in a web. Come and get me. The other villains would make their way to the rooftop. As they did, there would be large metal generators, boxes, things of that nature. It was almost like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Hammerhead would tell them all to spread out as he looked one by one. As they did though, the Vulture would be flying high in the sky. There would be a crash of lightning. In the flash of the light they all saw, Spider-Man was on his back. He ripped off both of his wings, causing the older man to crash to the ground. He stomped him until he was completely unconscious. Electro would be the next to come after him. Only Electro would quickly be dealt with. The Rhino tried to outpower him, but multiple tendrils would wrap around Rhino, bashing his head against the roof of the hotel, a loud thud echoing all the way down the floors. It continued over and over and over again. One by one, they were all picked off, all of them taken out. Hammerhead called for more of his men, but they weren't responding. Why? Well, the ones who were messing with the lights had been Kaguya and Yasuka, and they took out the guards for good measure. When they heard the fighting had started, they assumed Spider-Man had woken up, and they figured he would get the better of them in the room, at least in the dark where he could have the advantage. As they continued searching on, they would find the stash rooms where more of Hammerhead had kept his stolen goods. They didn't take long in cleaning him out of everything that he had, at least while he was in Japan. It was going to be a pretty penny on their part. There was a car waiting for them on the bottom floor. They entered into it immediately as they took off. Off in the distance, though, they could see images, figures moving on the rooftop of the hotel. It must have been Spider-Man, they thought. For now, the only thing they could do was count their spoils and make sure they got as far away as they could. In Kaguya's mind, she had done the right thing. She gave him a fighting chance to survive. She freed herself of the guilt for the most part. In the meantime, Hammerhead was all alone. But he too would be captured. By the time Yuriko and the members of the Japanese police force arrived, they found all of the supercriminals webbed up in black webbing, and they found Hammerhead. However, Spider-Man was long gone. Yu Ishigami was home. He had had an eventful day at the sports festival, to say the least. He wasn't expecting a knock on his window. The storm had kind of spooked him a bit while he was playing his video game. He was in the complete dark when he opened the curtain and saw the black Spider-Man. He flipped out immediately as the window opened and he came inside. Wait, please don't. Ishigami, calm down. It's me. President? Yeah, I have no idea what's going on here. Me neither. What on earth happened to you? The black goo would start to reside itself, pulling itself inside of Shirogane. Shirogane would immediately collapse to the ground, now donning his red and blue. After a few days, though, Shirogane would return to school. He had come down with a cold, and he had merely just decided to take a few days. At least that was the cover story. As things had returned to normal, Kaguya could see that there was something in the president's eyes. It was different. Are you okay, President? Oh, I'm fine, Kaguya. It's nothing to worry about. You know, colds, they can be a hard thing to kick. In his mind, though, she betrayed me. She tried to get me killed. There won't be mercy. The next time I find her, I'm going to destroy her. In the meantime, though, Ishigami and Shirogane would speak about what had happened, about what they had found. I don't know what it is. It's like some kind of symbiote. Yeah. So, do you even need the suit anymore? I'm still gonna keep it for now. I really don't know. I can't pull it out on my own, but I know it's inside of me. Oh, great. So now you got a new power, huh? I'm sorry about what happened with you and the cat. There's no need to worry about it. She seemed to have gotten away for now. Do you think it was her messing with the lights? I mean, the storm was bad, but it wasn't enough to cause a blackout or anything of that matter. I did some digging. In the room you were in, it didn't happen anywhere else in the hotel. It was probably her. I did some search afterwards. Yuriko said that Hammerhead's stashes had all been raided. Chances are that's what the Black Cat was after. She just used me as a distraction. Damn. It doesn't matter. One way or another, our paths are gonna cross again. You can believe that. And there was no white tiger around? Nah. But it was for the best. We would have both been caught up. And besides, I've been tangling with these guys for a while now. No need for her to get caught up in my mess. Well, thank goodness we're gonna be on break for a bit. The school's been doing some remodeling. I hear we're getting 3 days off. What are you gonna do? I don't know. Probably go on patrol. Try and figure out what the hell this black substance is that's going on. I'll do some digging myself. And I'm gonna get in some gaming. You should get in some studying, dude. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that. I'm gonna be a lot smarter. I'm gonna work a lot harder for Tsubame. Don't just do it for a girl, bro. Do it for yourself. I have faith in you. I know you can handle it. Thanks, President. In the meantime, though, Kaguya would be talking to Ai Yasuka as well as Chika Fujiwara about what had happened. To say that Chika would be enthralled would be an understatement. Of course, she was a little perturbed. I mean, this was her best friend and everything, but the girl had tried to set up a guy for murder. Damn. But still, all things considered, he survived. They managed to get off with a massive amount of loot, and even Chika got a share because she was the one that provided the getaway car. That's the beauty of having family with connections. So, how much do you have now? Chika would ask. Well, in terms of everything that I need to get out from under my family, I have 75% of the funds, all on my own without the need of using family money. They can't put a tax on it. With 75% of the money needed, then milady, a few more jobs and you'll be in the clear. Yeah, but Hammerhead's in jail. He's gonna figure out we crossed him and now we'll be on his shit list. And you already know, the Tokyo police force as well as Spider-Man are going to be on our asses. If we keep burning bridges, we're not gonna have too many people to rely on. No need to worry. We'll find a way. We always do. During the school's brief renovations, while the students would all be out of class, Shirogane was home alone. He was enjoying a glass of orange juice. His father had gone to work for the day, and his sister was getting ready to go out. I'm going out with some friends. I'll be back later. Yeah, make sure you keep your phone charged. And if anything happens, call me. I'm not a little kid, brother. I know that. Okay? You're growing up, alright? And I know you don't want me doting on you or me being overprotective. I get that. And I promise I'm gonna try to give you your space the way you want. It's just, I understand. I know how it's been since Mom left. I promise this is where I want to be. I'll be fine. You just have to give me space, you know? I will. Here. Use this while you're out with your friends. He handed her a wad of cash. You've been working overtime. Don't worry about it. I wouldn't be giving it to you if I didn't think I could make it back. Go have fun, seriously. Kay would open the door and prepare to leave, before opening again and running it back to her brother, giving him a kiss on the cheek. Thank you, dummy. Yeah. So, what am I gonna do on my day off? I'll probably go on patrol in a bit, but for now, I can actually sleep in. Or maybe I can get caught up on my homework. Well, he'd have to put a rain check on those plans. From out of nowhere, a portal would open behind him. Shirogane's Spire Sense was already ready to go. Without even using his web shooters, a black web would appear from him. However, it would be caught. So, you managed to get the symbiote in this universe. Impressive. Wait, who the? Out stepped a man dressed in red and black. He was a bit taller, a lot more muscular and well built. As he took off his mask, he had 4 red mechanical limbs behind him. Otto? Yes and no. It's complicated, but I need you to hear me out, kid. He would take off his mask. You don't look like the Doc. Well, me and the Doc have a lot in common, you might say. But for now, I guess officially, I'm Peter Parker. I need your help, Miyuki Shirogane. My help? What's going on? Well, have you ever heard of the multiverse? This concludes Kaguya-Sama Love is War, Queen of Thieves. What if Shirogane was Spider-Man? Season 2, Part 4, the Season 2 finale. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. And this now concludes the first story in Anime X Marvel Phase 2. I thank you all for watching, and I thank you all for your support. As always, don't forget, you make the channel grow, you make the core grow. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.